Hi everybody, we're pushing forward with Unit 2 and I wanted to start with the absolute basics that are necessary to answer both questions in Unit 2, which is language and transition. And the first terms right from the beginning are the standard and a variation, so you can see it. So this is the main comparison, or rather we always receive some kind of variation, and usually there are three texts in the source materials that we're using. So for section A we're using only text A, and the variation is always the same for all of the source material texts. So in order to make use of the variation and its qualities, we need to understand what it is. So it's better to compare it against the standard. So the standard is basically what we can find in dictionaries and grammars, and probably we can start with point C. So it is those norms that the grammar books prescribe us, which is prescriptive grammar. So we follow the rules, we follow the norms, which is the third person singular in present simple takes s or es flexion. I've been here today for the present perfect as an example here. When we speak about a variation, something may change, which becomes a non-standard feature. And the C point here speaks about different non-standard features, which means that these features can appear at various language layers. You can watch the video in Unit 3 in order to understand the layers of the language when we speak about language as a system of these layers, an interconnected one. So as an example of the particular non-standard feature, say at the level of grammar and syntax, we may have ain't as an auxiliary verb, double negation, no need nobody, I'ma be with you, which is I believe a way of expressing intention instead of to be going to. And when we move on to the A point, we in particular can speak about the layer of phonetics and phonology. The key terms here in relation to phonetics and phonology are received pronunciation and accent for a variation. So historically speaking, received pronunciation is something which is related to education and upper class. I believe now we can use this term as the abstract standard of pronouncing words absolutely correctly, as the transcription prescribes us in the dictionary. So according to one of the definitions, it's a specific refined accent of British English associated with the upper class in private education, sometimes colloquially known as the Queen's English or BBC English. We used to say that the Queen's English would be the English as a whole in at all its layers. So it is the standard norms at all the layers that we take into account. But here, I believe it is the difference in the linguistic traditions, or probably the term was used not really correctly during my years of studies. So nevertheless, when we speak about the phonetics and phonology in terms of a variation, we should face some accent, which is a non-standard pronunciation features which are region-based. Interesting enough that we can have accents on the territories of the United Kingdom, such as the Scottish accent, or outside of it among the former uh, colonies, British colonies, such as the Australian accent or some other ones. Um, and all the time, we're going to have a set of features in relation to phonetics. Um, these features are compared to the pronunciation that we can find in the dictionary once again. So we, as usually, are interested in as many terms as possible. So it's an overview of what can be used and where. Um, Accents and received pronunciation are related to several things, which is prestige factor, more popular or less popular, educational background, historically speaking, yes, received pronunciation or RP, associated with the upper class, again, historically speaking. I'm not even I'm not even sure that many people are aware of the abbreviation and the term received pronunciation nowadays. Also, ethnicity factor is a possible one as well. Uh, Moving on to point B, we can consider another set of terms, which is lingua franca. So we take English as an international language, and the term is lingua franca, which is the dominant all over the world language. And lingua franca means that some mother tongue for some people is dominant on other territories geographically and historically, of course, speaking. So this is the moment when we come back to the Queen's English, and during my years at university, probably incorrectly, the whole language, like English spoken anywhere, would be a variation, and everything which is spoken on the territory of the United Kingdom would be called Queen's English. But again, we need to remember the terminology. When we speak about variation, in point B, we can consider these terms, which is pidgin and creole. So these are terms for language in contact, meaning that it's not really language in a full-fledged normalized version yet, but it's a mix of English in particular and some local dialects, some local things spoken between the people. So historically speaking, it is a language mix of invaders of the territories when we speak about the colonial era and the local peoples. Both pidgin and creoles are related to language maturity, so to say. So creole is a more advanced stage, so to say. So pidgin is not written, and creole is handed down from one generation to another, and it already becomes normalized, standardized, and written. So it has some written sources already. And of course, these things are compared to the Queen's English, the Standard English, the Literary English, and in order to exemplify these things, you can also take into account some tables that I've found. So in this table, we can see the status part, and we can see the meaning part, which is what characteristic may English carry for a speaker. It can be native language, near native, second language, foreign language, and official language, which is either related to creolization or the Queen's English is official on such territories like Canada or Australia. So you can take a look at the descriptions here. Another interesting one is about those stages of language in contact. So several processes are mentioned here, which is colonialization, then lingua franca, a dominant colonial power's language. Pidgin is something that is a mix, a non-written one. Then creole becomes handed over to the generations, may also have literary norms and some written sources, which then becomes a standard. Uh, Creole may be a term in itself, so many variations include the word Creole in themselves. So you can share those names in the comment section below if you know any or you found any. Also, drop your questions in the comment section below. I'm happy to be answering them and hope that you may find this video useful. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.